Hello. Doing a quick reading for the lunar cycle starting in just a few days on June 3rd, I believe. And so far I have the World, Temperance, the Chariot. And I was asking for messages from my personal angels and guides. And I think what this is about is personal expression, because we really are little microcosms of a much greater whole. And we're just little expressions of God, basically. Each of us is completely unique, and we all have something to share. And it feels so good to put your expression of your own personal creative power out there, because that's what's natural to us as little expressions of God and the greater whole, the universe, the infinite creative power, all of that. So sometimes it can be hard to take the time to tap into a creative expression. It feels so good, though. You must think about, what is your skill or talent? Perhaps the answer comes easily to you, or perhaps it's more difficult to think of something. But everyone must have some way of expressing themselves that's creative. And it's really, really important to give yourself the gift of time doing that thing. And it's nice if you can use it to make money, but it's also valuable as just an open-ended expression, kind of like a practice too. Because you need to practice something to nurture it to the point where it's valuable. And also just because it feels good and it's healthy for you to activate your creative energy. We are very much creative beings, and we come from a creative being. It's essential to us to take enough initiative to get started on some projects that make us tick. Because all tied up in that is the fulfillment of our wishes, the creation of our happiness, being an interesting person, like all of that. Because you're not going to look back at the end and think, I spent too much time doing art or working on my, whatever. It could be anything. Making furniture, making clothes, writing little poems. It's actually good if you feel a little blocked in that regard, just to set aside time to do it. And it's always good to start with just like 5 minutes, because you can't install a really big habit immediately. You have to get started real small and just nurture it along to get that repetitive routine installed in your day, and then you can lengthen the amount of time doing it, because it's too stressful to sit for an hour or something and meditate or whatever you're trying to start as a routine, and that routine will just kind of peter out and die if you don't start small enough that it's sustainable, that it actually becomes fun. So the way to start doing something, I did this with meditation, is to start real small, but just be really consistent. And then you can get your time up to the amount that you want. So I started with 5 minutes, and now I just meditate for 15 minutes in the morning. And sometimes it feels kind of long, but it's really sustainable at this point because I'm used to it, and it really helps me. And now there's other habits I'm trying to install for my morning routine after that, basically. So I'm starting really small, and that's the loving and clever way to start a new habit that's positive. And that way you don't end up feeling guilty for not taking that initiative, because that first step is actually the most important one. So many people never take the first step. Just take a little step. It really doesn't have to all happen at once, and also it feels good. It feels really good to do these things. Just to spend time with yourself doing something high quality. And that's actually the best way to nurture relationships along too, is to spend time doing high quality projects together. It might not even sound fun at first, but it really it's really so valuable. It's kind of hard to overstate. It's a good way to, have wholesome connections and create something new. You never know what's going to come out of doing an activity that you wouldn't normally do. Highly recommend that. Even if it sounds like it might not be super exciting. Usually anything out of the ordinary routine that has a certain wholesome quality ends up being pretty fun and quite valuable in my experience. So like invite somebody to paint together or something. I don't know, something that vibes with you. Let's see. I don't know. Give up your personal history. Give up your personal history. That's what this Wayne Dyer card says. I like that. Yeah, it's easy to look back at things and try to extrapolate that into the future, but only do that if you're not interested in changing. It's really freeing to kind of let go, and it can be difficult, but it feels good to kind of start yourself over if possible, if you need to. Some of us might not have as much destructive history to worry about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Sorrow. Well, the things that kind of hold us back from expressing ourselves, in honing our skills, increasing our talent, tapping into our talent. It's like letting go enough to be creative. There's trauma. You don't let go and forgive for the sake of other people that may have wronged you. The forgiveness is a word that's actually quite loaded. I'm not sure it's the right word, but I think what people mean sometimes is just not letting something eat you up anymore. Sometimes you have to see if you got any lessons from something and just try to move on. Sometimes trauma really lives in the body, and that can be difficult to release mentally. And you will know because you don't feel like releasing it, and it still eats you up inside. So for something like that, like a more somatic process is really valuable. getting into a deeper state of consciousness where you can integrate it at a very deep level. And actually integrating something traumatic helps not only you, but the much greater whole. It's like ripples in consciousness. It helps the whole planet. If you go through something and recover from it, it's kind of like laying a blueprint down energetically that others can tap into. So we really have to be brave. We don't have to relive every trauma we've ever experienced to heal. Not at all. The whole point is to get to a point where that stuff isn't bothering you anymore. EMDR works. Bilateral stimulation can be utilized in other ways besides formal EMDR as well. Even just taking a walk and trying to get into the receptive mode, asking angels for assistance in releasing anything that's bothering us is really valuable. You can also like tap your fingers, like tap left, right, left, right, left, right in a rhythmic kind of quick pattern. And that left, right stimulation can help your brain get into like integration mode. And you'll kind of know when you get into that place because it actually feels different. It's a different state of consciousness. It's an open state of consciousness. You're not dwelling in the trauma, but it is good to use that bilateral stimulation if those memories or bad feelings are occurring to you, while also consciously trying to get into a meditative state, and watch what other memories are coming up with an open mind without forcing it, because your mind is trying to take you on a little journey of understanding. That's kind of what integration is. It's building up again. It's creating a greater whole from like fragmented, traumatized parts, making you a much stronger person and somebody that's a very useful person, even if it's just your energy and you don't go on to help others with their trauma. It's making you a reliable person, somebody that's not dwelling in their trauma but has transcended it. So if you really feel stuck with trauma, I would recommend looking into EMDR. Formal EMDR is a good place to start because it has this structure kind of built in that can help just get the process of integration started. And the ultimate result should be not really thinking about that stuff anymore, stuff that bothers you. So that only applies if you can't stop thinking about something that's really bothering you. It's kind of like a shamanic journey of understanding that you can do. And you can even find EMDR stimulation as just like a video on YouTube. There's a little light that goes back and forth and you follow it with your eyes, but I'd recommend doing a little research first if you're not clear about the whole process at all. I do loosey-goosey EMDR to myself sometimes now, but I did go through like a formal process to rid myself of all trauma once, and I feel good now. I mean, maybe not all trauma, but like most of it, because not much bothers me about the past now. And I did go through many traumatic things, and that's just part of the earth plane. I came into an incarnation where there was that potentiality, and I did get traumatized. So it's just like a combination of nature and nurture in my case. And when you're young, if you don't have the best guidance, then you have free will, but sometimes if you get too far down the wrong path, it's almost like a moot point because your free will can get kind of hijacked by bad patterns and you can get stuck in a pretty bad rut. So anyways, go easy on yourself. We really weren't meant to dwell in negative emotions. They're just like letting us know that there's perhaps some wisdom to be gained or something to let go of and become a stronger person. Strength. The strength card is actually kind of a loaded card, in my opinion, sometimes. Like what I was talking about. And hopefully you don't have any trauma and that's not relevant to you. But we are here on Earth, so many of us have had something happen or been through something. Let's see. Let's get some oracle cards to kind of close. These are the love cards. Love has no limits and has no regrets. There are the lovers. And I like this really pretty oracle deck I got a while ago. I got all of these tarot cards a while ago. I don't really go shopping now for cards, but they are beautiful. And as somebody who likes art and things, I just love cards. Protection. So it says, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. Very relevant to what I was just talking about. Yeah, the whole point is to reclaim your sovereignty as a being and not act out of the trauma anymore. So if you still have trauma that's bothering you, it's important to address it so that you can be happy and have a good life and get what you want. You don't want to manifest. You end up manifesting wonky stuff too if you don't fix it. Like, you have higher standards when you're not affected by it anymore, and that's good. You want to be particular about the company you keep and the thoughts you have and the way you express yourself and all that, and you'll just naturally gravitate towards positive things once you get all that out of your system, if there's anything left there to heal. So birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Yep, part of our creative expression is about something bigger. It's about sharing little figments of God, like with each other. Or maybe you end up helping people or building large things, collectives, buildings, classes. The thing is to start somewhere because, it's the only way. Just to start small and just keep up that small habit until it's really, really firmly set in your schedule, and then make it bigger and bigger as long as it's feeling good. And never doubt the value of your expression. Even if you don't share all of your creations, it's still valuable for you to experiment, and it's meditative time. It's healthy. Warrior woman, have you answered your deepest calling? There's so much going on right now with male and female. It's quite interesting. women really can be um, very powerful, very powerful. Just something to keep in mind. Don't let people tell you how to think. If something feels wrong to you, it's probably not right to you. A lot of people have their own opinions, and they could be helpful or they could be destructive. They could be helpful for one period of time and destructive for another. Sometimes we have to kind of transcend ourselves. Even if something is useful or has been in the past, it doesn't mean it's always going to be good for you. And there's a lot of negative messages out there right now. I can always tell when I've been told something that's bad for me because it doesn't feel good to hear it, and I think about it later and it's just like yucky energy in my brain. So that's kind of a sign like that information is a little tainted. I mean, it's fine to get exposed to everything, but always see what works for you. Just because someone said something doesn't mean you have to take it at face value. Obviously, you know that. Okay, well, that was a nice reading, and I hope you have a beautiful full moon. I hope that you have a beautiful June, and I'll talk to you again next time. And have a great day. Bye.